Good evening everybody, it's Lynn here. Welcome back if you're returning and welcome if you're new. So today I decided I wanted to work in my Handmade watercolour journal and do some colour mixing. So I'm just setting myself up here, trying to get myself organised. Struggle with that slightly to start off with. I don't have a lot of room on my desk, but I get there in the end. Okay, so I'm just wetting down the page because I want to start working with my watercolours wet on wet. And the colours that I've chosen are sort of like a hot pink. This is actually opera pink. I think it's Daniel Smith, not 100% sure, but I think it is. So hot pink, lime green and black and white are the colours that I go with. So I'm just doing some colour swatches here. So I've got some green out on the palette and I've actually got pink out on the palette as well, but you just can't see it in the shot there. And I'll get some black and white out in a second. So I don't think I've done colour mixing with watercolours before. I do colour mixing with acrylics quite often, and I apologise for the shadows. I didn't realise that I hadn't switched my light on. Not much I can do about that now. I'll try and remember next time. So just getting some black and white on the palette, and I'm going to start with making adding white to the opera pink and seeing what colours I come up with. So sort of a medium pink and then a lighter pink. Then I do the same with the green. So starting off with the green, just adding a little bit of white, getting a slightly lighter green, and then adding more white to it to get quite a pale green. And doing the same with black. So I've got pink on the palette and I've added a little bit of black to sort of get a more, I guess, dusky sort of pink. Then adding more black to it, so it's almost a grey, pinky grey colour that I end up with that one. And repeating for the green as well, so adding a bit of black and I get sort of a more muted green, adding more black to that, and then I get sort of a greeny grey colour, more green than grey. So now I'm going to actually mix the pink and the green together to give me a neutrally colour. It's sort of like a mix between, it's almost not quite burnt sienna, but it's sort of along that line. And I've added some white to it and to give me a paler colour, and now I'm adding some darker black into that to give me a more muted colour. And I'd forgot that I hadn't actually put the black and white on up the top there in my swatches, so just putting that in. Just wetting down that page again. I hope you're all well. I'm well here, can't complain. So I'm working wet on wet, and I don't do a lot of, I use watercolour quite often, but I'm not proficient at watercolour in any way. I just like it as a sort of underpainting. So I'm just doing some very rough layers here with the pink and the green. And then I think I take in that muted colour up the top there and bring that in at the top. This point I thought the only thing I sort of had in mind was some sort of landscape. But I wasn't sure at this point exactly what that would look like. Just doing some drips and mixing those colours together. Drying that off. Yes, I hope you're all well in your neck of the woods. We've got some beautiful weather down here at the moment. We're up here. Yeah, so beautiful winter, clear, little bit cold at night, but about 18, between 18 and 20 during the day. It does get a little bit cooler in midwinter, but for now it's about average of what we've been getting. We've just had a cold snap not long ago, where it was down to about 15 degrees during the day, but that's disappeared now, and they had much more cooler weather down south. So just adding another layer here, making some areas a little bit darker. Just to get a bit of colour variation. I've finished with the watercolour now, so I'm just cleaning off that palette and popping it to one side. I've got my Liquitex inks out here. I've got a yellow, green and Quinacridone Magenta. These are almost used up completely, so I do need to get some more at some point. So the idea I had here was I wanted to sort of get some drips going, or at least swoosh it around a little bit. Same with the Quinacridone Magenta. Again, I just wanted some colour variation, and I quite like how it mixes with the water. It just sort of flows and does its own thing. So a few layers of that till I'm happy with what it starts to look like. I quite like this. I like how it's all sort of moved on the page. It's about at this point that I'm starting to get the idea of what sort of landscape I would like to do, and you'll see how it develops. Again, just sort of swooshing that around. Okay, just drying that off. Right, at this point I thought, yes, okay, I want to do some trees. So I'm just sort of sketching in, I guess, some really rough shaped trees. I'm using my Neocolor 2 water, I think it's, yes, water crayons. Very rough, just sort of, scribbling them in. This colour is called purple, but it's actually like a hot pinky colour. Just activating those with water turns it into paint. So the idea I've got here is it's sort of a landscape. The pink in the foreground is water. Then we've got some greenery, and then obviously we've got the sky in the background there. I just wanted to put in sort of like a reflection, even though I don't end up putting in a moon or a sun or anything like that. I'm using now the, what are they called? Golden So Flat black and yellow green. And come back in and just do some sort of low bushes or plants at the edge of the water there. Very rough. It's not meant to be fine art. It's just trying to capture the picture that I had in my mind. So I'm just mixing that again just to make it lighter, and I come back in over the top of that darker colour just to give some sort of variance to the greenery that's there. Oh no, I'm actually painting the trees in now, I think. Yes, I am painting the trees in, sorry. Just making that darker again. Oh, this is where I'm coming in with a slightly different colour green. Just bringing in some leaf shapes, very rough, just dabbing my brush down. And again, coming in with that lighter colour just in that plants or foliage at the base there, just give it colour variation. At this point I was getting paint everywhere. I've finished with those colours now, so I'm just, instead of wasting that paint, I'm just going to throw it down on a page in one of my other journals. Just as a first layer, and it uses up all the paint. I've got the So Flat White out now. Can't remember exactly what I do with it, but we'll see. Oh, I'm putting in the reflection again, just bringing that back in. Okay. Dragging paint everywhere. Putting in some sort of highlights in those trees. Coming in, just putting some shading, or the hint of shading, I guess. I didn't really like how the black looked when it was on there. I come back in a bit later on and fix that up. Here, just putting that pure light shade over the top, just to sort of knock that black back a bit. Can't talk. Again, just using up that paint that's on the palette. Coming back in now with it's golden so flat paint. It's Naphtol. I think it's Naphtol Pink is the colour. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, Naphtol Pink. Again, I just wanted some colour variation. I didn't really like this, so I do come back in and change that a bit later on. Wasn't quite the right pink. I should have used my fluorescent pink and I would have been happier, I think, but that's okay. We fix it up later on. So here I'm actually just scribbling with my Neocolor 2s on my palette. So I've scribbled in with the purple and I've put white over the top, and now I'm just activating it. I want to make some clouds in the sky, and this ended up being, I wanted it to be a real pale pink, but this ended up being a little bit too dark a pink for me. So I come back in with just white paint over the top, just to sort of, and leave a bit of that pink showing, so there's some colour variation. But yeah, I was happier once I got the white paint on there. Just some lazy clouds drifting through the sky. I'm making a mess on that page down the outside of the tape. I think next time I'll have to double tape everything so that the whole side of the page is covered, much like the bottom is. Although you'll see later on that I think it's the ink actually leaked underneath the tape there. So I've got my black Posca pen, 0.7. I'm just sort of sketching in the side of the trunks there just to give it a little bit more form. This is actually a new marker that I got out today, and I threw the other one away because I've been struggling with the other one for weeks. So again, not really any detail, it's just sort of really rough. I'm going in now and just sort of scribbling in the impression of sort of bush shapes, I guess, or shrubbery. Now I've got my white and I'm just putting in some highlights on the trunks of those trees and in the shrubbery as well. I've got a larger Posca pen, bullet tip, and I'm just, again, putting that reflection in. This, I think I'm coming back in now with the Quinacridone Pink Liquitex ink. Just, I didn't like how the phthalo pink sat on top of the previous layers, so I'm just coming back in and going over the top of that just to sort of blend it all in and get that nice bright pink that I really like. I'm just putting in a bit of a shadow along the, I guess, the outline of the water there. I've got a green spot there and I don't quite know. It must have happened earlier on, but I couldn't get rid of it, so I just left it there in the end. Drying that off. I was trying to see if I could fix up down the sides there and failed miserably, but that's okay. I come back in a bit later on and fix that up properly with this with the acrylic paint. I just paint down the sides and across the bottom just to sort of take that colour away. Needs a couple of layers, so I'm just drying this off so I can go back and do another layer. You can see where the ink's leaked underneath that tape. It's not too bad on the other sides though. Coming back in with that second layer there of that paint. Sort of neaten it up a little bit. Almost done from memory. Just drying that off. I do come back in and just fix up that reflection, or add more to that reflection, I should say. Yep, so I've got, this is Copic ink, white. It's very opaque, and it's got a really, really fine brush on it, so I'm just doing some really fine lines on top of the layers that I've done below, just to sort of give it that hint of movement or reflection. And I think that's it after this, once I've dried the page. Yep. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly had a nice time playing and creating it. I will see you in next week's video. Take care for now. Bye.